So this is the Vivo NEX 3. You get a pair of earphones, a USB-C cable, phone case, and of course, a 22.5 watt fast charger. And last but not least, the Vivo NEX 3 5G versions, meaning that it supports 5G network. And this color is called Glowing Night. So you can see the NEX 3 is slightly larger than an average smartphone. It has a 6.89 Super AMOLED display with Full HD Plus resolution, and it supports HDR10. So Vivo called this the Waterfall FullView display because if you look at the edges, it actually extends the curve to the edges. This is actually the curviest I've seen. So technically you can say that it has no bezels except for the bottom one, which is really thin. And because it has no bezels, of course we don't see any physical buttons. On the side here, you get a little bit of this textured capacitive button, which is like a power button, and then on the top and the bottom is like haptic feedback, so this is for you to control your volumes. But it also has a physical power button, which is right here. But once you put it on with the phone case, then this physical button is blocked and you can't really use it, so you have to depend on this one. So other than that, on the bottom you get a single speaker grill, a USB-C port, and at the top, even though this phone is so advanced with so many cool features, it still has the very popular headphone jack. So on the back, you obviously get this circular camera design, which I think is pretty cool, but if you really focus on the 3 lens, you realize that they are not of the same size, so those with a little bit of OCD might be affected. And on the front, because it's a full view display, obviously we get a pop-up camera, and also we have an in-display fingerprint sensor. So the display is impressive, the design is impressive, but what's within the NEX 3 is also very impressive. It has a Snapdragon 855 Plus chipset with 8GB of RAM and 256GB of storage. And that's not even the best part yet, because the Vivo NEX 3 is actually the first 5G smartphone in Malaysia. So technically now 5G networks are only on trial runs, so it's at selected areas and we don't have it here like in this spot, so I can't actually test that out for you. But apart from that, this phone has a 4500 mAh battery that supports 44 watts fast charging. So this is gonna be like the flash. So another highlight of the Vivo NEX 3 is that it has a 64 megapixel triple camera setup, and that makes it one of the first few phones in Malaysia to have a 64 megapixel lens. So you get a 64 megapixel main lens, a 13 megapixel telephoto lens, and another 13 megapixel ultra wide lens. As for its front, we are getting a 60 megapixel selfie lens. So we are obviously outside right now, so we took some shots to test out whether the 64 megapixel triple camera setup and the front 60 megapixel selfie camera is really good. So this is what I found out. So with the 64 megapixel lens, the picture actually gets a lot of details, and if you zoomed in to the maximum, you still see a lot of details, and it is quite sharp. It's still quite sharp. And as for the telephoto and the ultra wide lens, they both loses a bit of color, and obviously they're not as sharp, but they're still doing pretty well. So as for the selfies, I actually think Vivo is doing a good job. By default, the AI beautification is not too intense, so I get a natural look but still look like I have flawless skin, and the picture remains sharp. But as for its bokeh effect, it's still a bit intense and can be a bit inaccurate, especially since my hair is curly and I have strands of hair flying everywhere. So there is also a bokeh mode for the back camera, and honestly I think it's not bad, but still a little too intense. So by the looks of it, the Vivo NEX 3 is actually quite an amazing smartphone because it's the first 5G smartphone. It has a Snapdragon 855 Plus chipset, it has this Waterfall FullView display, a touch sense, the haptic feedback capacitive buttons, and it has a 64 megapixel triple camera setup. If you're interested in this phone, it is launching today, but as for its pricing, I will update you in the description box down below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, remember to subscribe to our channel KLGadgetTV, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!